Welcome back to Final Expense Telesales. My name is Dana Neeson. I have another guest on the podcast today, someone who has impressed me tremendously. I met him on the recent filming of Cody Askin season 3 of Ultimate Agent. Welcome, Dylan Crane.
Thank you so much for having me, Dana. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you on today, and I'm excited for my audience to kind of get to know you better. You are, in my eyes, known as the $1 million man in you sold $1 million in simplified issue life insurance in what period of time? 4 months, 3 months, something crazy?
No, it's like 10 months. It was like 9, 10 months around
Oh,
that.
okay. 3 months, 10 months, same
Yeah,
thing.
it's close to it, close to it. So it was, yeah, 9, 10 months and then 1.4 million in a year on my own pen
Right.
with 14, almost 1,400 applications. So
Amazing. I
yeah,
have so many questions about that. We're going to talk about that and we're going to dissect
yeah.
sales process a little bit. We'll talk about mindset a little bit, and a couple other things that hopefully people will be able to take away and apply to their phone conversations or Zoom conversations immediately, right? That's the whole goal. Try to bring as much value as we can to our audience. And now that was just in your first year, by the way,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was thinking back on it now, it's crazy how time has flown. My life is a little bit more relaxed now, which is nice. I'm not doing 1,600 applications in a year. I've kind of switched how I'm selling and, obviously growing our agency, but it's thinking back on the year and kind of, chatting with different people in the industry. It was a lot of things that I didn't realize I was doing, but I think it'd be really cool for people to see and hopefully apply to their business too.
Okay. Well, I would like to understand the mentality and the motivation behind some of the numbers that you hit, kind of like
Yeah.
where that came from and what were you on a mission to try to write the most amount of business that's ever been written in your IMO, or what was that thought process like for you?
Sure. Well, first of all, when I first came into insurance, I've never done insurance before. I came into it June of 2024. I didn't know anything about insurance. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the leaderboards. I didn't know this whole, I guess, kind of like fraternity almost in some ways, these IMOs. I didn't know anything about it. So I'm just coming in. I thought you can make a lot of money, and I just came into it. I didn't really have a lot of goals. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna make as much money as possible
Mhm.
and do that. I didn't even show up to team calls. I didn't show up to like organization. I didn't know. I'm just here to make money. That's
You were one of those people that
yeah,
didn't show up
yeah,
to anything.
yeah. Well, I was like, well, because I'm like, if I'm showing up to a 2 hour meeting, that's time that I could be dialing.
Yeah,
And I actually meant that. There's people that don't show up just to not show up and they say they're dialing, but they're not. But
right.
like I was really like this, my mentor, he's like, look, Dylan, you need to show up in meetings. I'm like, why? Like I need to be dialing, like I'm behind, like I need to make money.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of me. I just showed up and just worked as hard as I possibly could. And the reason I did, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to be the best.
Mhm.
And that started at a young age. I started lifting weights pretty young, like sixth, seventh grade. Started practicing basketball. I played professional basketball and practiced that for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Didn't have a trainer, didn't have a coach. I just tried to figure it out, get better. I didn't have everything that everyone else like maybe had. So it's like, okay, like it's not like we came from a poor background, but my dad was in the government and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and they didn't really know a whole lot about sports. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna go be the best. Like if I should, I know I should look a certain way. I know I should look healthy. I know I should look fit. I know I should try to be the best in school. I know I should act a certain way, talk a certain way, and be respectful. And it kind of comes from a little bit of my upbringing on how my parents raised me. But then at the same time, when I jump into insurance, those same principles applied, right? So I wanted to be the best insurance person I could be, but at the same time, my daughter just got out of the hospital. She had to have a heart transplant. We were in the hospital for, over 250 days, and that completely changed, kind of my outlook. And the more attractive thing for me with insurance was just building that financial freedom and building an agency where hey, if we had to go back in the hospital again or something happened to me, then my daughter has income because I don't really know what her life's going to look like.
Right.
So that was those two drivers of just trying to be the best version of me, make a lot of money, and then at the same time take care of my family and my daughter. That was a huge factor for me in doing what I did.
And that's still, I imagine, a big part of your why. What
Yeah,
continues to
yeah,
drive you, your wife and your daughter, and
yeah.
what a cool story for you to be able to tell her as she grows up and is old enough to really understand what you're building,
Mhm.
because it truly is incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank
Now,
you.
did you have sales experience prior to getting into life insurance?
Yeah, great question. So, there's a the answer. So the answer technically is yes.
Hmm.
Okay. I started my own business at 15. So I built a basketball training business. So I realized like I was the number two leading scorer in the country in my junior year in high school. And people wanted to train with me. They were like, hey, Dylan, like, how are you doing this? Like, teach us. And so I was just training little kids. And I started to realize, okay, I enjoy this. I can kind of do this. It's basketball. I love it. So as you know, like when you run your own business, it is sales.
Yeah.
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 Whether you're selling yourself, you're learning how to pitch, you're learning people's emotions on why they wouldn't buy, how to create, results-based thinking versus price-based thinking or cost-based. So you're learning all that at 15. I didn't know what it was, but I was just naturally trying to figure it out. So started that at 15, built my business up to be pretty successful, thankfully. Had to sell it when my daughter had her health issues. So when she started to have her health issues and needed a heart, we were in the hospital for a long time. So we had
Yeah.
to move from different states. We were in Virginia to had to move to Texas. So I couldn't have my business anymore. I had to sell it, couldn't play professional basketball anymore. So I had to find a specific job. So I did had to find a sales job. That was the only position I saw myself working.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to make a lot of money, did corporate sales. So I literally my first sales job was I went into food processing plants and sold lights. And I was literally watching pigs and cows get made to food. And so did that, and that wasn't fun. And then did remote construction sales, sold roofs, but I was capped there because I couldn't make as much money as I wanted to make. Sold $2 million of roofs in like 3 months, and I only got paid 20 grand from it. I'm like, okay, that's not going to help me. I have to sell like $100 million of roofs to get the money I want to make. It'll take a long time, and it just wasn't the pace I was wanting to go. So there's my whole sales career, if you will. So business.
How did you find life insurance though?
Yeah, so it all boils down to being the best version of yourself every day. So
Right.
in the remote construction sales space, I didn't have a trainer, didn't have a coach, didn't really have anyone mentoring me. So those of you out there that really don't, obviously Dana's a great mentor for that. Like I didn't do it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to cold call. I could figure it out. Like it's okay. You're gonna pick up the phone and dial and figure it out, or just gonna sit there and do nothing. So I pick up the phone and just dial, right? It's the same
Yeah.
thing in insurance. So, but I was struggling. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting the results that I want to have, right? So I purchased Jeremy Miner's course, right? So I didn't see any other sales advertisements. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I purchased it, wasn't cheap, but I invested in myself, unless I'm trying to be the best. So I had to find someone that was out there or something that was out there that was better. So I invested in that, bought it. And a guy from college actually was on that same like teaching that they were having during the day.
Yeah.
It was just a guy that I haven't talked to in forever. 10 years, you know how the college thing goes. And he hit me up after the session. I was on there for a couple of minutes. He's like, Dylan, like, hey, you free for a quick chat? I'm like, okay, this is one of these things. So you know how like you get random calls from people that you haven't talked to in 10 years.
Mhm.
So, called me and said something about insurance, and I was like, yeah, whatever, man, cool. And then he posted on his story, we followed each other on Instagram after that call, posted on a story what he made during the week, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So at that point, I was like, all right, I jumped in. So that was the selling point.
Okay. What year did you go through NEPQ?
20 like end of 2023 to 2024.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I went through it in 2022.
Okay.
And after listening to you and your sales process during the filming of Ultimate Agent, I heard a lot of that come out. Do you find that when you're coaching and mentoring agents, that when you're trying to teach that to them, do you find that it's more difficult for the majority of people to kind of capture onto, or do you find that once you explain it, they pretty much get it?
The NEPQ,
Yeah.
I think I didn't even understand it at first. Like it didn't make sense to me like in my brain because like, obviously you boil it down like discovery, um, problem awareness, then you have solution awareness, and then I can't remember the last couple pieces. For me, because I've never been taught sales before, so you got to
Yeah.
think like I'm being taught how to shoot a layup, and I never really had it broken down. I heard this, I saw the script and stuff, so I was just trying to follow the script. I need my brain to figure out how to get to like from point A to point B, which is obviously making the sale. So I didn't know what to do to connect the dots to the sale outside of just following the script.
Right. Right.
But it was never perfect. When people followed the script and said what I needed them to say, I got to the end result. But when we veered off, I didn't know how to get back around.
How long
Like,
did it take for you to get those like light bulb moments
yeah,
where,
yeah.
how long did that
Uh,
take?
It took a little bit. So when I started insurance, that was like real sales for me because I'm getting on like in some cases 50 to 60 appointments in like a week and a half, right? So I'm getting a lot of practice, but I got on the phone. There's a couple of things. There was a lot of people that just kind of put it together for me, but I got on the phone with Caden Sanchez actually.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and I got on the phone with him. He's like, Dylan, like you got to think of basket like as sales like a sport. Like so think about like how you got from high school to the NBA. Like what did you do? Like what are the steps that you took? So this is a much shorter sales cycle. So think of like, okay, someone filled out a form, booked an appointment, which is what I did, or what I do. So how do I take them through the sales call and get from point A to point B? So that kind of helped. So I learned to just kind of like ask questions to help them get there versus
Yeah.
like following a script. So I was like, I'm so process driven that
Right.
when someone gives me a process, I just try to follow it. So NEPQ was confusing me because I was following the process, but it wasn't working. So I needed a way to connect the dots to make
Mhm.
it how NEPQ like worked. So I would say like even when I did 180K my second month, like 160 apps, I was just still following a script, but it made more sense. I could kind of veer off a little bit.
Yeah.
So it didn't truly make sense to me. It probably took me like 5 to 6 months in insurance to truly understand how to make NEPQ work in every aspect. So like interviewing, insurance, running your own business, like all the stuff, like even just having normal daily conversations and just learning how to ask better questions. It probably took that long. So it took a little bit, but the only way you can do is do more of it. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I guess that'll be a good transition point to some of the, I guess, most common skills that we think or you think that agents might be lacking in their sales process that they can take away from this conversation today and implement immediately. What are some of the couple of things that you typically see right off the bat that agents that come to you and you listen to their calls, like what are you finding are some commonalities that people can look within themselves and see that they could correct?
Well, I think the first thing is I don't think people really understand if we start like from basic, how to ask the right questions to get the result they want. I think people have no idea how sales works when they first start, right? And I think it comes down to like trying to be a master of their skills.
Mhm.
And I think people don't realize that sales is a skill. I was talking with a guy earlier and he's like, well, Dylan, if someone just hung up on me or they get me to think about it, then I just go on to the next one. It's just what people do. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, like we need to like work on that, right? There's a way to not get to think about it, right? There's a
Right.
way to not get hung up on. So I think breaking it down very simply, it's like, okay, how do I get to the point where it's just like basketball from using it? Like, okay, why did someone steal the ball? Or why did I not make the shot? there's always a equal and opposite reaction to all these different things. So when I understood that, that helped me understand how to ask the right questions. And then that helped me grow my sales process to now it broke down sales in like a step-by-step process, right? So you got to have your process, start from the beginning. Why did it go bad right there? Fix that piece, then the next spot it ends up bad, go there, right? And
Okay.
then just keep fixing all of them and working on that process until you get better at it. So I think helping people understand that first. But then second of all, it's just really hard to get people to be a master at something. And when they're not wanting to when they don't want that, then you have to set expectations on where they actually want to get to. Like if you're wanting to make 10 grand a month, great. Okay, this is what you need to get to. This is what you need to do. If you want to make 20, okay, but there's levels to all of it, as you know. So I think that's a good first step, making sure people understand that there are levels to this. And then how do we get better at it?
I think one thing that helps me visualize or help agents visualize how to ask the right questions, because I think, when I think back 10, 15 years ago, and I would hear people say to me, like, you just ask better questions. Like, how do you come up with these questions? I think is probably where a lot of people get stuck. And one of the things that I've tried to figure out how to teach really well is figure out the information you want to tell somebody or the conclusion you want them to get to. And instead of telling them the answer, whatever that is, figure out how you can ask that in the form of a question to get the prospect to give you the answer that you're trying to tell them. That was kind of confusing the way I said it. So, for example, if I'm trying to get someone to see that if they want end of life final expense insurance, instead of me telling them that term insurance would cancel or that if they got term insurance and they canceled it, their family would not have anything when they passed, as something I'm telling them. Instead, I would help people reform that as a question and say, well, if you did outlive your policy, what would happen with your family? Right. And it's like guiding them to tell me what I need, what I want them to know. Right.
Yep.
So that's kind of like a good formula
Yep.
to try to help agents figure out. And it requires work. Like you can't just do it on the spot if you haven't practiced it. So I like think about the different parts in your script where you're telling information and then write down like 2 or 3 questions that you could ask instead that would help them come up to that conclusion on their own. I think is really helpful to try to reformulate whatever script that you're using.
Agreed. 100%. And I think when you're stuck at all points, ask a question at the end.
Yeah,
A lot of people just say,
always.
yeah, you have to like
Always.
when you're stuck, okay, end with a question because that at least moves the conversation versus if you make a statement, then you're like you could be like really stuck, like you don't know where to go. It's awkward. There's no flow. There's no connection. So yeah, gotta go with questions.
Well, ending a sentence with a period, basically just you're just handing the control and the direction of where the conversation is going to go to the other person on the other end of the phone. Because
Yeah.
now I'm waiting for them to just ask me another question. And probably there's a 50-50 shot they're going to ask me what the price is. So if
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go to price or quotes or health questions, then I better figure out another question to ask them so that I can control the direction of the call. So yes,
Mhm.
that's so important. I agree
Well,
with that.
I think that's a good topic too, is like a lot of times, even if you have a script, you'll still get off topic. So then
Mhm.
like what questions do you ask? Because sometimes like I didn't know what to ask. I'm like, it didn't make sense to me like what to ask again to get from point A to point B. So and that comes like when you it was like that aha moment for me. I was like, oh, I just can't keep asking questions the same way but differently.
Yeah, or you could
Yeah.
ask clarifying questions or probing questions that will
Yeah.
ultimately just bridge you back to where, that gives you time to help you find your place. And so that you can ask a question that's script related
Yeah.
that will help you move forward. So tell me more about that, or that's really interesting. How did you come about figuring that out? Or
Yeah.
whatever that is. And then while you're answering me, I can go back to my script and figure out, okay, what can I ask next that will allow me to stay back on my path?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing we were chatting about too, right? Is like, do as insurance people, do people really know what to ask when if they give you a surface level answer, how do we get out of them what we need out of them to be able to help them realize what situation they're in? I think in the beginning, like let's say I asked a question like, yeah, just Dana, just kind of tell me like this about this coverage, like why do you feel like this is important to you at this point? Let's say, oh, I just want to make sure my kids are taken care of. Oh, okay, well, some people keep moving.
Mhm.
You just ask, okay,
Most
well,
people keep moving.
yeah, yeah, and just like tell me, like just walk me through that a little bit. Like help me understand your situation. Some people might be like, what do you want to know? So like then it's like now you're stuck. So it just depends on the flow and the conversation, how it's actually moving. Just to help people understand what to ask. I just think people get stuck there. It's like if they give a surface level answer, okay, do how do we know to dig more, or how do we know what to ask? Because I know I was stuck there in the beginning until I figured it out.
Well, I think the answer to all of this is that either you have to invest in yourself in sales coaching and mentorship, or you have to align with someone that can do that for you as part of your agency,
Yeah.
right? You're trained to do that. I'm trained to do that. There's other people that like we do call reviews all of the time. We do live dials all of the time. So that way we can start help reprogramming your brain and giving you that coaching that you need because it is a little unreasonable to think that you're just going to listen to a podcast and say, I got it, and go become like a top 1% salesperson, right over the phone. It takes practice, consistency. I know you related a lot to basketball. I related a lot to playing the piano
Mm.
because it's the same thing. Like, how unreasonable would it be to sit at the piano for the first time and just start playing Beethoven or Mozart? Like, you have to understand what the keys mean, how to use the pedals, like how to create, like how to actually just put them together. And that's how I visualize sales is it would be unreasonable to think that you can just read a script and sell at a high rate like you do or I do without consistent practiced repetition or
Yeah.
paying for a coach, right? Or being with an agency that can coach you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so huge. But I think people think sales is like you actually don't need a coach. Like
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, they think it's just like a job that you just do and either you're good at it or you're not. It's like, but it's a skill. Like people don't realize because they think like, okay, when you apply it, I think this is the hard part about this is because a lot of people go into a corporate, like they apply for a corporate job. They think they're good at HR. They think they're good at communications. And then they interview and they're like, oh, well, they didn't approve me for that. Or they get thrown into a position where they're like, oh, they think I might be good at this, so I'm going to do this. And they think sales is the same way, where they might be good at it and they think they can do it. It's like, oh, I'm not good at that. Let me just go try communications, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of working and
Yeah,
improving in their
yeah. But
skills.
it's like
Yeah.
I just think they're told they're good at something and they just keep doing that and then they're falling into the same, job for forever because they were told they were good at it. But we really don't know as a society how to pick out and how to problem solve and how to figure out how to get better at something, right? We've been taught to go to college for that. But how many people have actually gotten better when they go to college at their field that they want to be in? I know for me,
Right.
college didn't do anything for me. My professor actually failed me for the business proposal that I wrote him. And it ended up being a successful business. So it's like, okay, how did college actually help me be better at business? It really didn't a whole lot. And I don't remember anything I learned either. So I don't know. I just think we're not taught as a society how to problem solve and how to actually get better at something. We're just taught to go to school, go to college,
Yeah.
talk to your boss, and go home. That's it. And then we're done. So I think it's a problem in society as a whole.
Let's pivot a little bit and talk about elite abundance. This is one of my favorite topics. And what's interesting to me about lead abundance is, in my opinion, I would love to hear your opinion. I think you actually need even more leads when you're bad.
Yeah.
And working part-time, by the way. So it's like counterintuitive, right? The people that are working part-time and that don't have the sales skills by the least amount of leads, right? Especially the ones working part-time, 20 leads, 30 leads a week, whatever it is, because they aren't doing it full time, but they're the ones that actually need more than you and I do,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
mean, we could probably have the same results off of 50 or 100 leads per week as someone else trying to work 2 to 3 times that amount.
I agree because let's say we're using final expense leads. Let's use
Okay.
that. We're gonna have, let's say we buy 50 leads. I think a new agent's probably gonna need like 90. Um,
Minimum.
Net minimum, right? Reason why, how many times do we buy leads and it's just a shoe in? Run through the script, sold, boom. Great. Awesome. Like, great. We're good. Like, I love
Very
this feeling.
rare.
It's the greatest thing ever, right? There's going to be maybe two out of the 90, maybe three, depends on if we get lucky, maybe a little bit more. But it's going to take you a while to get paid. First
Mhm.
time writing a carrier. Um, Maybe you didn't get issued. Maybe you can't get the client on the phone again to rewrite it.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
know how to save their number. They didn't know how to save your number. They've been shopping around still. They went with something else. So to actually see money hit their account, yeah, they're going to need way more leads. They need to have time to grow and experiment and get better and practice.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with that. And that's why but the hardest point, and this is a major, major restriction for me, is like a lot of people start cheap when they jump into insurance, but
Yeah.
you actually need to start larger, right? You need to
Larger. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you need to
Yes.
start, you need to, if you want the success model for all of you out there that want to succeed, you need to do like 4,000, like, and take it as that. But then a lot of people are like, well, what if I don't make my money back? Or what if I don't make any money? Well, like, there's two ways to look at it. Number one, like, okay, you could quit after you purchase $100 worth of leads in 2 to 3 weeks, or you could go all into this and like get some better leads,
Mhm.
have some easier sales, get that under your belt. But it's not going to happen if you just do 10 of those same leads. Like you could get a good batch, you could get a bad batch. Like,
Right.
do you want to be sure or unsure? And well, the way to be sure is to purchase more leads, you're going to make your money back because there's going to be easy sales within there. And
Right.
then you're going to see it's like, oh, okay, I just got to get better at this, this, and this, and this. Okay, perfect, good. Let's say with the same amount of leads now, we're
Mhm.
still going to make these 3, 4 sales. We're going to make our money back, but then we should start to gradually grow up the
Improve.
scale. So
Now, when you said 3, 4 thousand, did you mean 3 to 4 thousand per week, per month?
that's a great point. Um, so I quickly transitioned into like I made 4 sales my first week.
Okay.
And those were all, I started off with only investing like 150, $250. But the difference between me and most people was I role played like 30 to 50 hours within like my first week, week and a half.
Yeah, nobody does
Right.
that.
Yeah, no one does that, right? So I practiced, right? So that's why it was okay for me to invest a little bit amount, but not a lot of people are willing to do that. They just want to read the script and show up the next day and dial, if that, right? So I think if most people are wanting to be average, like then yeah, you're gonna have to start off with more money. If you're wanting to work at your skills and willing and there's a difference between working on your skills and being perfect too. Because you can hear, like Dana, you could say to someone, hey, yeah, this is how you should have corrected that. Oh, okay, I'll write that down.
Right.
How many people are like, okay, let's go over that real quick. Okay, when you go over it, do they get it when they went over it? And then is it perfect when you went over it? So there's like several levels to it.
Right.
No one does that. I've never had anyone do that. Most people just write it down or go over it real quick, but no one ever tries to make it perfect.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to count, like to attack this, but I think if we're talking about the average agent, yeah, they need to start off with more leads, because they're gonna get easier sales. They're gonna see this thing works, it's real, and that will help them obviously stick in the business and ultimately, hopefully, make more money, and they'll have to realize how to get better.
What do you love the most about the life insurance space?
I personally, for me, I just love I love the ability to create, your own agency, right? The sales is great.
Yeah.
Um, the sales is, a cool thing about it, but that's like any other job. You could go door to door, you could go do bugs, you could go do, whatever other sales thing you can think of. Right? I just got a water system for my house. I had someone come over my house, but the same thing I told him is like, okay, you do 5, 6 appointments a week, you make 6 grand a week. You have to keep doing that for the rest of your life.
Right.
this is the only field that I've seen that gives you to still produce and build your own agency how you want to build it and however large you want to build it. And there's no cap on it. You can have 10,000 people in your agency and there's no cap to it.
Right.
So I think that's probably the coolest thing about this field personally.
Now, for people that are thinking about wanting to build their own agency, what do you share with them about the risks associated with it, or what are your thoughts on some of the risks associated with building an agency?
Hmm. Hmm. That's I haven't been asked that question before. That's good. I think the risk in building an agency, personally, I don't think there really is one. I don't like it's like bring people in that are whether friends that want to make some extra part-time money or even that are full-time. You purchase $150 of your license and then buy some leads. Maybe you're 300 bucks, 400 bucks in, but you're going to regret if you didn't do it. So,
Not the risk to someone wanting to sell life insurance. So what I'm referring to is, there's a lot of bad actors in our business, right? And I'm
mhm.
talking about, if you don't have like a good eye on who's coming in, now it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to get it 100% right, but
Mhm.
there's people that will try to come into agencies for advances, disappear, the policy's charged
Mhm.
back, and the debt rolls up to you, right? The risk of an agency owner is that you're co-signing debt on your downline.
Yeah, that's
And so
yeah.
there's like things that you have to do as an agency owner to make sure that, because that's going to happen, it's inevitably going to happen, right? But my brain doesn't think about the fear and the risk, but a lot of people's brains only
Yeah.
focus on that, just like those are the same people that focus on the fear and the risk of spending money on leads, right? Same mentality. So
Yeah.
my brain is wired to opportunity, teaching, helping, growing. Like if you are bringing on more people that are having success, the chargebacks and roll-up debt will pay for itself. That's my thought. So I was just curious if you
Yeah, no,
had
that's
any
an
other
interesting
thoughts
point.
on that.
I've never had that problem before. Yeah, as I'm building my agency, I'm still new. I mean, I started last June, but I've never had that problem before where I'm thinking about the risk before I go into it. I just think about how to mitigate the risk beforehand. All right, so it's like anything, you handle the objections before you get there
Yep.
naturally. And I've never had every single person. Well, first of all, when I bring someone in my agency, I vet them properly. I'm not on
Yep.
some recruiting spree where I'm hiring every person under the sun, right?
Okay.
I'm bringing the right people. Culture is important. I always tell my people is if you culture is the biggest thing for you. It doesn't matter about money, right? It matters about the culture. It matters about the people we have in an organization because quite frankly, if the culture isn't good, people are going to leave anyways,
Right.
right? So you have to have the right people. You have to have the right fit. I have to be the right fit for you. I'm a hard person to be under, right? I work hard. I have large goals. And a lot of people get intimidated by that, or a lot of people struggle with that. I can't relate with some people if they're wanting to do things on a smaller scale. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the fit, but
Yeah.
it's all about setting expectations and creating your core pillars. But I've never really ran into like someone not paying their debt or someone doing fraudulent activity or just because it starts off with the beginning and just I guess running a business for a long time. But yeah, there is a I wasn't even thinking risk when you said it, but yeah, there is a bunch of risk. I just haven't had that happen yet. But I think, like you said, there's a lot of people in our industry that just go out and recruit. And
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's just if you're just recruiting in mass volume
yeah,
and you aren't taking the time to sort of build that relationship with people coming in, making sure that they have the right expectations, the right intentions,
yeah,
they're going to show up and, do all of those things, it's going to happen at some point. Someone's going to exit the business, not be able to afford to pay their debt, and it's going to roll up to you. Like it's almost a guarantee. It's just like chargebacks. Chargebacks, it's a guarantee to happen. But if you're selling enough, you're just not going to feel it.
yeah, for sure, 100%. Like it's
Yeah,
the same thing as chargebacks. I haven't even worried about a chargeback. Really, it hurts when you get like a. I've never had this happen, but if you get a $10,000 one, that's different. But
that's true.
it's different. But yeah, I just don't think risk. I'm so positive, but it's how do I make
Yeah.
sure I don't run into any problems in the future? And I think if you do your legwork in the beginning, it's going to be fine.
Perfect. So you're on a mission right now to try to find the first female $1 million a year producer. I talked to you on the phone about this the other day. I said I was going to bring it up on this podcast. What's your ideal candidate? Who are you looking for? Like, what does that
Yeah,
look like so people can self-identify in themselves?
sure. Um, well, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of men that have done it. I think there's like four or five maybe that have done it in a year. I've only known of one, but there's as I post on social media, everyone all of a sudden becomes $1 million producer. So, that's fun. But I think number one, you have to be very driven. You get like when I say driven, like you have to be willing, especially if you're new. There's two types of people that can come into this. You can have people that have been doing insurance in a while and try to flip to it, which I think is really hard,
Hmm.
right? If you try to work, like it's gonna take a long time to do that because you have to like build up to it. Because let's say you're only working 8 hours a day, and then now you have to go to 15.
Okay. Is that what it takes? 15 hours a day to
Well,
get
well,
those
that's
results?
how I did it, like with no
Okay.
insurance sales. Now, if I'm very familiar with the insurance space, I can figure out how to jump it up to 15 pretty, like, or jump it to make my income jump pretty quick.
Okay.
You have to have the right person to do so.
Yeah.
But I started out doing 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Like that's how I started. But I didn't know. I didn't know that there was you could write better products. I didn't know how to essentially sell someone. I didn't know how to structure my calendar
Right.
how I do now. I didn't know that here's a trick for everyone. If you guys are working mailers or you guys are working like a different market than final expense,
Yep.
work the older people first. The older people are going to be your higher AP products, just because it's going to cost more. They're older,
Hmm.
right? So you have to
Hmm.
work them first before other people will talk to them, right? So I didn't know those things. So I'm just going everything off a whim. So I just knew, hey, the more I work, the more money I make. So
Uh-huh.
I would say you have to have the ability to work longer than you're working. You have to be coachable.
Hmm.
You have to be open to new things coming from someone different. Um, have to have the knowledge and awareness to write the proper applications. There's a lot
Hmm.
of applications that take a long time. So you have to be, again, be willing to learn. You have to be willing to obviously invest more if
Hmm.
you're investing now, because what you're investing now probably isn't why you're doing it. So a great question I always ask people like, hey, if you're investing 2 grand a week in leads, what if you doubled it? If your lead doesn't give you the ability to double it because it would take too long, then you're probably not working the correct leads. Or if
Hmm.
it's digital leads, those just take longer to get a hold of. But if
Yeah.
it's direct mail or maybe it's from social media, those are going to be quicker because people have literally filled it out by hand versus digital online.
Yeah.
They're just people are just going around clicking on stuff. Like they're going to get 90 calls the next day.
Yeah.
So I would say those are some good characteristics. Like if the main ones is being coachable, invest more, and be willing to work more hours.
Right.
Um, and if you're doing 50K, I think it's a pretty easy jump to 100. But if you're doing like 5K, it's a really hard jump to get to 100. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to change. If you're
So
already
you're
doing 50,
primarily selling what type of insurance now? Is it IUMs and
now I'm doing IBCs.
oh, okay.
So I
Cool.
have a instant issue product that for IBCs that you can make 8 grand, 10 grand in your bank account next day, which is that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. And then on top of that, you get like a company bonus at the same time, like through like not the company, but the producer bonus by writing that carrier a lot. So you're getting a lot more money than just writing that initial product.
Right.
So I'm doing that now, but initially I started off with mortgage protection.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was good.
And for
Frustrating.
people that don't know IBC, Infinite Banking. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Infinite banking, yeah. Infinite banking, and we use it to assist people with getting out of debt, and it's helped a lot of people. I mean, I just had my first person since I started to get out of debt, and they roughly get out of debt in half the time. A lot of times, sometimes it's 75% of the time. It's a process getting there,
Yeah.
but if they trust it, then it's going to help them in the long run have a better life for sure.
That's so cool. Well, I'm definitely a Dylan Crane fan. I will continue to follow your journey as you grow your agency, and I hope we continue to stay in touch throughout the process. And thank you for being on here today. Oh, hey, if people want to find you, how can they follow you, Dylan?
Yeah, sure. Just go to the Insurance Athlete on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So it's the Insurance Athlete. and you can find me there. And yeah, hope to stay in touch with you guys. Thank you for having me, Dana. Appreciate it. Really enjoyed it, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much.